Ranting, reflecting, reasoning, reckoning.
The Huddle with paperplusoffice.co.nz. Buy all your office supplies and stationery online now.
18 to 6, Josie Pagani. Good evening.
Hello, Larry.
And Cameron Slater from Whale Oil. Hello, Cam.
Good evening, Larry.
Josie, issue number one, the government's housing package, a boost for first home subsidy schemes via KiwiSaver and the Welcome Home Loan schemes. I don't think anyone is claiming that this will address housing affordability. How do you view it?
I think that's the problem, isn't it? That it's not going to... I mean, you're still helping people into houses that are fundamentally unaffordable. So it's not doing anything for the affordability issue. Look, I've got no problem with helping first-time home buyers, but you get the feeling that National's heart just isn't really in this. They've kind of been forced into a me too position by Labor. In this case, whether you like the policy or not, Cam, you'd have to agree. In this case, Labor has the upper hand. They've been a heap bolder. I mean, they've promised to build 100,000 starter homes, so guaranteed affordability, and ban foreign speculators. So it's bolder than National, who's basically tinkering around the edges here. I mean, what are they going to do? A three-bedroom house in Waterview this weekend went for $900,000. So
Josie,
I'm not
sure. You don't even know where Waterview is.
I do. I lived there,
you can't
Cam.
comment on it.
I lived there once.
All right, okay, Cameron, your response.
My response is this: if Labor's got the upper hand, how come it's not showing in the polls? It's a joke that their policies, but then again, National's policy on housing is a joke as well. This is just a return and some tinkering around the edges, but a return to the way it was when Labor set it up, when Peter Dunn helped them pass the legislation to set this up. So we're not seeing too much of a change. It's nothing unusual. And I'm heartily sick of hearing people talking about housing affordability. Houses are affordable. Every week in Auckland, there are people settling houses on Thursdays and Fridays, moving into new places, buying houses, selling houses. They're eminently affordable. It's a beat-up, and it is a whole bunch of whinging from people who should know better.
But Cam, on that logic, then the NASA space station is affordable because someone once paid for it. I mean, that's just nonsense.
No,
look,
Josie,
the thing is, what's interesting here about what you just said, Cam, is that it tells me in the National Party there's a bit of an ideological split here. There's those that don't like subsidising the likes of Rio Tinto or any industry, and those that don't like helping the market in the housing market, and then there's ones that do. So this tells me, this is interesting.
Socialists versus capitalists.
In the
I
National
don't like
Party.
subsidising anybody, let alone people who haven't got enough money to muster a deposit to buy a house. Look, when I first started working, I started in working for... Back then, you had to come up with a real 20% deposit on housing. And that is just sensible, this 95%, 100% lending for losers to go and buy a house that they can't afford is just crazy. This idea that everyone should be able to buy a house is ludicrous.
The interesting thing, Josie, is that the Shamabil Yacob from the NZ he believes that it'll increase debt. It'll lead to higher prices. See, Australia tried this. They had their, I think it was $7,500 for first home buyers, and it was just a cheque, basically, but they closed it down. Anecdotal evidence
it was an election bribe
was that it actually increased prices. So there is an issue there.
I think there is, and it's the basic economic rule of demand and supply, isn't it? That if you increase the demand without increasing the supply, then the price is going to go up. So yes, there is this initiative on its own would be a disaster, actually, if you didn't have a whole bunch of other initiatives, and that's why I'm saying that no matter what you think politically of it, there are bold initiatives coming from the left here, and there's sort of tinkering like, oh, I'd rather leave it to the market, I don't really like this, coming from the right. So it'll be interesting because I think housing affordability, jobs, a sluggish economy, those are going to be the issues in the election.
We'll come back in a moment. Josie Pagani and Cameron Slater on The Huddle. It's 14 to 6.
Larry Williams Drive with the new ANZ, the bank that gives you more.
Josie Pagani, Cameron Slater on The Huddle. Issue number 2, Cameron. Let's whip through these. There's been a rise in the number of New Zealanders being scammed and losing money through online scammers. More scams and greater sums. You would think people would be aware of these things rather than getting sucked into these scams, I think, Cam.
Well, you'd think they're the same sort of logic applies to this as people who smoke and gamble, isn't it? It's really a tax on stupidity. I mean, who gets their kit off in front of a video camera with some random person they've never met and then doesn't expect there to be some standover that goes with it?
Right. These are the naked chat sessions, and then they get blackmailed,
Yeah, perhaps that's what Anthony Weiner did.
There's a few politicians that have a habit of doing that. There's a Queensland guy got busted doing the same thing. Didn't he? Had his todger in a wine glass, for goodness sake.
That's right. She was actually saying, please put the cork in the Shiraz. And he misunderstood. No, look,
anyway.
I've had a weird one of these. My brother, I got an email from my brother, my youngest brother, saying he was in London, he'd been beaten up and mugged. Please don't tell the parents, but send money now. And because it's your brother, you think, well, I better check that he's not in hospital beaten up and mugged. So they're getting cleverer and cleverer.
Cameron, just before we go, the first debate across the Tasman, it looks like it was about even, but Rudd has been accused of cheating, brought notes along against the rules. What do you see in this?
Well, he got away with it, didn't he? Because he brought the notes, got to use them, and has just done what the typical narcissist sociopath that he is just, I'm just going to cheat, and, well, too bad. And he's got away with it. And Tony Abbott now should just break all the rules because Kevin Rudd's going to do it.
Well, remarkably, there's not going to be another debate, which I find extraordinary. No,
it's incredible. And our leaders are allowed notes. I don't know what the fuss is about, really, but it was just so
David
boring,
Shearer
Larry.
need them to stop stuttering.
Oh, come on. It was just so boring. Like political junkies like us, I was looking forward to this weekend. There was the debate between Rudd and Abbott, and then it was just boring middle-aged men behaving oddly.
Yeah, see, now
and then the National Party conference was just like happy people, and that's really boring.
I didn't even go to that, Josie. I went goat shooting instead.
Right. Thank you, Cameron. Cameron Slater and Josie Pagani. NewstalkZB, Murray Deaker in just a moment. It's now 9 to 6.